Welcome to the show, everybody. Getting a quick, you know, how you do those volume checks without checking, without saying check, check, check 3 times, and you say check 3 times. Yeah, but we're not doing that. We always say check, check 5 times, maybe 6 times. Sounds pretty good. Please feel free to check out this recipe I have listed here. It's a cream of tomato soup. It is the same recipe that I had rolling yesterday. This is a good intermediate recipe to start. That is a nice simple recipe where you still have to make a roux. In fact, you have to strain it. I think making a 1 cup of cream really start helping you open your mind to the possibilities, how you thicken your soup, and also just is a good technique to have under your belt as a beginner. And cream of tomato is a fairly forgiving dish because someone in that audience tell me what cream of tomato is supposed to taste like. Exactly. It's a little bit of give and take. You can have something that's a little bit more sweet. You can have something that's a little bit more mild. Something that's a little bit more salty, garlicky. That's the best part about when the recipe says season to taste. It's whatever your taste is. Alright, I think I got the old vocals. La, 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 la. Alright. Now I know you guys don't want to see this one forever. There we go. Welcome to the show. We got a good one for you today. This is going to be a much simpler show. Probably going to go about 2 hours today, tops. We'll do the same thing as we did last time. We're going to start with a little bit of copy. Just because you love your streamer. I am Robert. I go by Ecor. I also can be shortened to Ike. It can also be shortened to Ick. I rock it. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to give a little dust off on our kitchen, we're going to give it a little bit of sanitation, we're going to give it a little sweep, and then we'll see where we're going from there. Good morning to you all. Now, I guess you'll see my super secret technique to making my morning coffee. And yes, it is way past the crack of noon, but that is the life sometimes. The sun goes up, Ike gets up, that's how it works. If you enjoy this video, I do believe I have my YouTube link. These are things I'm going to start saying, and they will help get my butt in line to make sure I actually have that stuff going. I do know that if you would ever like to catch me for some video games, you can go ahead and send me a friend's request through the Steam invite. I have a few links down there at the bottom. One that we're working on is that we may be putting more recipes onto the Pinterest page. Pinterest is looking pretty snazzy to be able to put in recipes in an easy formatted guide. You can even have, like, you you can flip the page and it'll give you a whole new video. You flip the page and it'll give you a whole new video. Very, very nice stuff. Currently, what is on that link is not my own recipes, but a few recipes that I enjoy. We stick to a vegetarian diet here on the show, but I always like throwing in a couple extra tips on how folks can cook for a multi-diet household. That means that maybe you have a vegetarian in the household, maybe you have a vegan in the household, maybe you have someone that has a gluten allergy in the household. We can cover all that sorts of good stuff. As I was saying, currently on the Pinterest, not my own recipes, but soon there will be. The best and the worst of my work is available up on YouTube. You can find me at YouTube/Robert Lucy. Very, very, very straightforward today. When ooh, you know what? I don't think I have retitled this stream. Hold up. Alright, we got that taken care of. Ka-chow. Nice stream. We know what we're doing here. That's right. That's right. But there's not a whole lot to really go over on this red sauce, you see. We are going to use... Yesterday, you might have saw me pull this out as we were going through different... we were pulling out, finding what was about to go bad in the fridge, tossing anything that was bad, and then we cooked. We reorganized the pantry yesterday, and then we cooked with a lot of ingredients that we found that needed to go, like some of our produce. Now we have pretty good eyes on what is in our pantry. We're going to get a little better eyes on what is in our refrigerator, but I believe we're doing snazzy on that. So I have some pasta sauce. We're not going to be making pasta sauce from scratch today. We're just going to be using it out of the can. I'll show you my little routine that we got going for making pasta. It's a little bit different than a lot of people might be used to. I know a lot of people like to use a lot of water and get their pasta rolling boil, and they salt the water and add the pasta. Well, I'm going to make every Italian in the world scream, I'm sure. Or maybe they'll be okay with it. You can let me know right here in the old chatteroo, or if you'd like, in the upper right corner you can see there's this little orange icon. That is a suggestion box. So if you have a suggestion, if you have a recipe that you would like me to try, if you have something that you would like me to go more in depth and explain, I am a big old reader and I love a good challenge. So I can do some of the work for you because it'll help make me a better chef. And I have the goal to be one of the greats, to be one of the best chefs in the world. I might be the best home chef in the world, but I'm still going to have that best in front of the tile, you understand? Best, greatest, the most fantastic. Makes me smile. My sister said that I should just fully embrace the power of the Leo. I've always been a very bashful Leo, but I told her I would do my best to embrace that side of me. And here we are, coming for that #1 spot. Oh goodness. Well, usually I pour the water out and I heat this up, but you caught me on a little bit of the tired side. I did a pretty good job, I think. I was only 1 minute late to starting the stream today. Yes sirree, just 1 minute. I think that's pretty good. So currently, just so you know a little bit about me, I am currently supporting myself through Uber driving, though I might switch out to DoorDash or such, and I have stepped away from working in kitchens. One of those reasons is they just simply cannot pay me enough money that I'm worth at this point. Now that might sound like a very arrogant thing to say, and I'll go ahead and tell you the dollar amount that I believe I am worth in a kitchen. And if I was working in a kitchen where it required me to shut down the kitchen, such as like break the grill, sweep, mop, maybe degrease, something, maybe if I had to do, if there was chores that included cleaning the back side of the grill where it's super dirty and oily, along with cooking the food, showing up on time, being professional. The number that I have in my head is $27.50, and I can justify that because if you take the average rent and then you try to multiply it by 3, you're going to get a certain amount, and then you take that amount and you adjust it and you try to put about 35 hours, 40 to 35 hours, you try to give yourself a little wiggle room, because 40 hours is the maximum that someone should be working. Now, we talk about bachelors a whole lot in this show, and I really have a lot of love for bachelors. There's no shame in being a bachelor. In fact, many of us should embrace a bachelor lifestyle. I've been seeing more articles about that, but you know what? I don't usually see too many actual good examples about how to be a man, how to be a bachelor in this world. And I think I have a few insights for folks on that. And it goes back to what we were just talking about. That one of that is stating what you're worth and knowing what you are worth. Now let's talk about that. I did suggest a very high number just now, $27.50, but that is because I'm now a 30-year-old adult and I have worked hard my whole life. Now I may still need to have a roommate or such, but really I should be able to justify being able to live on my own. But employers need to be able to pay me that money. Not every employer is going to pay me that money because I'm not what they're looking for. Not every employer is looking for a good worker. Some are just trying to find something that makes the manager's job easier. Which means that you're going to show up whenever the manager says. You're not going to ask for a lot of money. You're going to work every holiday and you're just going to give yourself to them. And you're going to be grateful for everything that they do for you. That's what a manager is looking for. And there's no reason why you can't be everything a manager is looking for, still ask for a little bit of extra money. Now let's talk about where minimum wage is heading, or where minimum wage is at. Say that the area that you're in, the minimum wage is $8 or $9 or so. You have to understand that cooking is one of the hardest things that you can do. one of the most labor-intensive jobs. There, you probably in your states, if you're in the States, you probably have some sort of rule by the 3rd hour you're supposed to get a 10-minute break, and then on the 4th hour you get a 30-minute lunch break or such. Those are the minimums. And the reason why in the kitchen industry that's the standard for breaks is because usually a successful restaurant needs every hand on deck pumping out food. There's a lot of nuance that goes into this, but I am most critical of managers in any management position, not just in the cooking industry. But the cooking industry is a really great example to push it, because to put it really blatantly, I have worked for too many managers that wouldn't pay me because they were supporting how should we keep this PG? A white mountain habit, a nose sniffer, if you would. And so they use all their excess currency to go fund their own habits, to get their second house, to get their third business, without even securing the well-being of the people that work for them and made that possible in the first place. Now, people can argue with me if they want, but they're really arguing against their best interests. Let's talk about that minimum wage job. That job where you're working for $8 or $10 an hour. If there is anything that this has proved, is that these things are required because people, let's bring video games into this, for example. Let's bring any auction house. You know what the common tactic in the auction house is? Or say World of Warcraft, New World, things like this. It's to put the item that you're selling for 1 penny less. So there's this habit that you can see in video games where people will race to the bottom. They'll race to the lowest price just so they can get that sale. And that's the same thing that would happen in our labor. There'll be some, they'll say, if you just give me the job and you give me the hours, I'll work for $6 an hour. Well, if you give me the job, I'll work for $5 an hour. Give me the job, boss, and I'll work for free. The minimum wage at this point, in my opinion, is not there to secure livelihood for people. It is there to keep people from just digging a hole into the dirt and completely destroying our labor. Because not everyone is well in the head these days. Not everyone's thinking clearly, and not everyone needs to be making that much money. If I were to accept a minimum wage job, there are places for minimum wage jobs to exist, but the way that we go about applying for them drastically needs to change. If I want to work at some place like a Walmart, or maybe they need a gas station attendant, which I think gas station attendant is kind of a bad example for this, but you know, putting a couple jobs out there, maybe most of the time you're just kind of just lulling back, yada yada. They more need a body there than some, or just to do tasks. Getting a little ahead of myself. What I'm trying to say is that if you want me to work for a minimum wage job, I want to be able to show up to that employer. I want to sit down, I want them to be able to review my credentials, whether I'm a fit for the job or not. So I come into that business and I get an interview that day. And then I get told what day the training day is. Okay, we have a training days on Mondays and Wednesdays. Today and so we'll see, how about we can see you on Wednesday? Okay, we can't see you on Wednesday, then we'll see you on next Monday for your training day. And then I'll get my 3 hours of training and then I'll go to work. At that point, I'll be working, I'll have the training that I need, and then the managers are there to facilitate that weird stuff, you know, all the weird stuff that you have to know at the job, like, oh, how do I undo this transaction? How do I make this customer happy? How do I handle this situation? That all gets handed to the managers that do have a permanent position and are getting paid that $26 an hour, that $27 an hour, because they've made a commitment with their boss that, yes, I'm trying to make a livelihood here, I'm trying to buy a house here, I'm trying to raise a family here, and I need a job here. There's other people that don't need that. They just need any sort of job. They just need any sort of little income. But they shouldn't have to jump through so many hoops. And this is going to happen one way or another. Because where we're at is you can sign up for a delivery service. There's many applications on your phone where you can start making money right away. It is now Uber or DoorDash are better employers for this fact. They'll give you same-day payouts, so you can get paid out 5 times in that day. That's the next thing. If I'm going to be working for a minimum wage job, why do I give them a 2-week loan after I work for the money? It doesn't make any sense. It has become outdated. So not just the wage that we're making, but the entire practice can be overhauled. Those are some of the things. I can refine those ideas, but I want people to have a general idea about where I'm coming from as we continue talking about labor rights, about how you need to be taking breaks in the kitchen and such. Because I see what I decided I wasn't going to be, because now I know what I need to do, and I can fight for my position. I can fight for my life in this world to secure my well-being. But there's plenty of people that now there's only like 1 or 2 employers that will hire me for that reason. But I'll find them because I know that there's employers that need good workers. I understand, I know my worth, but I am not going to leave other people behind. Now that I know, I have to let other people know. I have to let the younger generation know. And when we're talking about the younger generations, I have so much love and respect for people that are younger than me. I know they get a lot of flack for saying that they are too emotional. But I think that is so strong of the younger generation. And all you need is a little bit of age, and you're going to stomp every generation before in your emotional maturity because you've had to sit with those feelings for so long, and you've sat with the whole world at stake your whole lives. I'm very proud of you already. So I just been dinking around, got some water. Looking for another pan. Interesting. Maybe it's in the dishwasher. Odd. You know what? It probably just got put over to the right. Aha! Success. So, we're going to make pasta. This is all we're going to use. We're going to make pasta for 1. You can make pasta for 2 in about this. Then we'll also, as we're cooking, yesterday on the show, we unloaded the dishwasher before we got set, and then we started cooking. On this one, I'll show you how you can save a little time of how you'll be cooking and unloading the dishwasher at the same time. And we're going to showcase a clean kitchen at the end of it. How we just can come home, get this thrown together real quick, and be done with it. This meal right here would usually cost you at least $11 at a restaurant, and then you have to think about how you have to tip the person. That's another thing, is that something that we'll talk about, something that I'll emphasize, We'll probably have days where we can more chat and sit down. But we have to talk about, oh no, it fluttered out of my mind. That's a shame. Oh well. Alright, so there's about roughly 9 servings in this. This is a little, just quite not enough pasta that I want for 1 serving. This would be considered a serving. However, I am a growing lad and I like to have a big bowl of pasta. So let's see what other bags that we got out here. I really encourage you. This was a great variety pack that you could buy, and I really encourage you to kind of see how the different grooves in the pastas, they'll hold the sauce a little different, so they'll hold the flavor a little bit different. They'll cook at different times as well. Bring to a boil. This one cooks in 11 minutes, for example. This one cooks for 9 minutes. We're going to go ahead and use the rest of this bag here, even though it's not as much as we would like. And then I'll show you what we're going to do for the meat. So there's actually 3 ways. I'll give you 3 total ways that you can actually go about this. The first way is that you can take a patty. Sorry, the camera gave me a little scare there. I thought I was about to nosedive. Anyway, you can take a patty. You can cook this patty on this skillet here. Let's get the overhead camera going as well now. Okay, you can cook this patty, flip it, throw in your onions, then throw in your sauce. By then, your pasta will be done. You can take a little bit of this. This is frozen currently. So if you're making a lot, you could just take the plant-based ground beef. And then what you do, if it's frozen, you kind of cook it the same way like a patty. You can take it, you can either defrost it in your microwave for a few minutes, which is perfectly fine. If you defrost it in the microwave, I do recommend that you use the entire product that day. Or say the next day. I highly encourage that if you defrost in the microwave, you should cook with all that meat that day, that recipe. Now, the other way that you can do this is that you can take it frozen and then you can cook it you can start browning it on both sides. And for this, you'd need twice the size pan. And you'd cook it on one side, you'd flip it for it to brown, and you'd scrape off with the spatula the brown, and it'll keep on cooking on the sides. And then you're cooking the other side, and then you flip it again, and you have a new brown side, and then eventually you would be able to stab through it and make your own crumbles. So that is a way that you can diversify if you have what you have for your plant-based. That's the same rules apply if all those were meat patties, same thing. Now, this is the product that we're going to use today. These are plant-based crumbles, and I really like these because they save a lot of time. This is going to help. Having it in the crumbles already takes one step out of the process because I don't have to cook a patty down and then scramble it all up. And then also, I really do want to use the patty for a burger, you know? Alright, so we got our pasta, we got our sauce, we got some beef beyond crumbles. We're going to take 1 white onion. We're also going to make a little bit of garlic bread, so we're going to use some of our garlic powder. We'll have that out. And this sauce, we don't need to worry about any other basils and such, because this traditional pasta sauce already has a great flavor going to it. It's already been seasoned. It's good to go. Alright, let's go ahead and we'll set a timer for 15 minutes and we'll see if we can get this done in 15 minutes. I'm actually going to switch. So on this stovetop, there's actually words here that tell me that it's a fast boil. So this one, because it has a double, I can either heat this center, I can heat the outside center. This actually has more power in the middle than this one does. And then also, the way that this glass works is that I have noticed that things that I put on a 4 on here, I need a 6 on my back burner. So part of doing all this, things that you can pay attention to, is how long does it take for your water to heat up. So we got a timer set for 15 minutes. We're going to try to do this whole ordeal in 15 minutes or less. I'm going to be cooking with high temperatures to get this accomplished. I really have not had the chance in the past to really prove to folks that, because I take so long to explain a lot of things, usually my show runs about 2 hours long by the time I'm able to throw a recipe together. And then we have some scraps of bread that we'll use for our garlic bread. So I already have those toasted in the toaster behind us. I'm going to go ahead and add my pasta straight on in. The water's not even boiling. The idea from this, I think it comes from an out and brown method where you're actually wanting the pasta to be in the water for the least amount of time as possible. I believe Gordon Ramsay would be screaming at me at this point as to what the hell am I doing. But here we are. So, I'm going to add the littlest bit of water. Now, when I cook plant-based meats, or meat substitutes, you gotta be careful when you're at the grocery store. I have seen people get confused. There's a difference between plant-based diet and plant-based meat substitutes. And they are not always trying to put the whole word on the package. So if you don't know, the plant-based diet is not vegetarian. That is still entirely meat. It's not the same thing as this meat substitute. So I'm putting not even a 1/4 cup of water. I'm just putting enough water to cover the bottom. And instead of cooking these meat substitutes in oil, I like to just steam them in water. So we put about a 1/4 cup, and we already have that starting to steam. Now, steaming this actually browns it pretty well. So I always use water, even if I was cooking a patty, still very much the same thing. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and now that that burner is hot, I'm going to go ahead and turn it. I had it all the way up to the 8 to get the heat going. Now I'm going to turn it back down to a 4. Something else that I want you to notice is that I have how I have my handles set. I don't have them any sort of way where I can accidentally knock them. This is a little less. What's more likely is that say I'm moving something and the scare is that you don't want to come down on your handle. That would be more obvious for this one because it's much more shallow. If I were to come down on it, if something were to get set. The most dangerous being if it was like this and I wasn't really paying attention and I set it down like that. Big messes to be had. Anywho, we are on a time limit, so let's keep that going. So that's at a 4. This is coming to a boil at an 8. Don't worry, I will still salt that water. The water salting will happen as soon as it comes to a boil. Now I do sharpen my knives a little bit different. I know lots of people would be like, oh, you gotta do it like. But the way I learned was to do it like this. I listened to the blade singing. Takes very little. Alright, let's see. Can you see the onion? Perfect. Oh, that's the wrong end. So I'm going to go ahead. Come down once more. And I'm just trying to be very clean about this. I'm working on a very small cutting board. That's about all the onion I'm going to need for this solo. Just going to have that cooking. Adding a little bit of a vegetable. We have about 8 minutes left. 8 minutes left. So we already have our butter here waiting. I'm going to turn that up more to a 4.5 just because I'm starting to get a little worried that we won't quite make this in our 15 minutes. Now it'd be really, really impressive if we can have a clean kitchen in 15 minutes. Now that this is all going, and I actually am what I'm going to do with this onion is I'm going to chop the rest of it up and I'm going to have it in a bag and we're going to date the bag. So we have some onions and then it'll make it even quicker for us another time where we want to have some pasta. Because then we won't even have to, it'll be one less thing that we get dirty at that point. And now, while I'm watching everything, I'm unloading the dishwasher. I'm going to set a good example. You never be washing your hands enough. Something that I recommend, that if you're in a kitchen and say that you are,
I can understand how a lot of people would be hesitant to be asking for more money at their job. I know that it's actually like a really intimidating thing to state your self-worth. Try practicing it in other ways with your employer. One of the really easy things that your employer might be able to see is better hand soap in the bathrooms. Because how much cooks are washing their hands, there's this really cheap foamy soap that I see often in kitchens. And personally, because I washed my hands the right amount of time, but it would eat away at my skin. So if you are a little bit intimidated about asking for raises, try another practice, another negotiation. You can practice negotiations and ask to see if you can get some better hand soap. And then just really consider, if your boss is not even willing to do that, you're probably not working for the right boss. We really have to stop giving our energy to people that don't care about us. There's plenty of people. I myself will do it. I will have a restaurant one day. And it will be a restaurant where no tips are accepted, because I will not be insulted that way. I pay my workers enough money, and we organize our kitchen appropriately where everything is covered for. I don't want the customer having to worry and do extra math. I don't want the customer to have a single worry. They are a guest, and they are to feel welcomed and loved, and to enjoy their food and spend time with their loved ones, and not have to worry about my family, my kitchen staff. We're right about to come to a boil on this pasta. We have about 4 minutes. I've been cranking the heat back up on this because I'm about to add some pasta sauce. We're almost done unloading the dishwasher as well, so now we're just doing multiple things at once. And that's very important to do if you are single working 40 hours a week. You're going to have to build good habits. You have to build good habits, otherwise you're just going to get beaten back. Getting this habit built in, you're going to find yourself a good partner, because you are bringing higher expectations to the table. And it allows people around you to have higher expectations of themselves. The right people. Now I'm really listening to the onions singing. I want to get them at least translucent before I add in this pasta sauce. Get a little bit more time. Just a tad bit. And we're almost done unloading the dishwasher. So, just kind of on a it's a very nuanced conversation, because everyone's different, right? Everyone's grown up a little bit of a different way. But I think that women are amazing. And you know why I don't want to waste a woman's time with? Taking care of me. She has so much more wonderful things to be doing, and other ways that she could be contributing to my life besides, doing the dishes. That's the last thing that I would want them to have to do. Now, I know it sounds a little strange. Like, am I just flying in the face of of traditional values, and it's not, because at this point, if I were to get a girlfriend and it would be taking away my value from the relationship because of how well I can run a kitchen, just to have someone feel comfortable in a traditional role. But these roles are only, 80 years old, and they're just complete garbage. Like, the whole idea about, you work 40 hours a week and you're only able to do that because you basically had slave labor at your house taking care of every duty of the household. Plus, probably, with my understanding, then not only were they the women having to take care of the house, the children, the family relations, they also had to do the emotional work of the rundown. Man, there's this, didn't even want to think, didn't even want to process his emotions. And yeah, I might be being critical, I might be being unfair to the times, but this is how history will remember the generation, right? They don't really get a say after their time has passed, unfortunately. So I went ahead and put it down in the garlic bread. We're going to go ahead, add in our pasta here. Oh, that's really funny. I did put away that strainer. Now that it has come to a boil, I'm going to need that strainer again anyway. And now we have just a little bit of red sauce left. We're going to go ahead and get that bagged up. That way we can wash this can. It just hit 15 minutes. So let's go ahead and see if this pasta is done. That's going to be the big tell. Now it just came up to a boil, right? So think about that. Now it did take a little bit longer for it to come to a boil because it had more stuff in it to help bring up the temperature. But let's see how we did. But think about how far ahead of the game we are right now, because we just had our pasta straight into the water. I would say that is perfectly done. We're going to go ahead and drain this. Then you can hear my toast just went off in the background. I'm going to go put that on the non-hot burner. I'm going to take this. I'm going to still be working on a hot burner real quick. Turning all my burners off now at this point. Giving this another stir, that way I make sure that it's heated totally through. And we're going to go ahead and grab a bowl. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and prepare. We're going to go ahead and do two things. We're going to go ahead and get this tidied up. We're going to let that cool for a second. We're going to go ahead and chop up the rest of this onion and then get our garlic bread made on this cutting board here. It just seems really odd to me, just like where all this stuff came from, because, I know we really I know a lot of men like really like the stories and really like the idea about being able to survive alone out in the wilderness. But there's so much that goes into your well-being about being able to actually go out and about in the wilderness. You need to understand where you emotionally are. You need to understand where you physically are. You need to understand how to cook food. You need to understand how the life works in a circle and how you give and you take and the seasons change. Oh, Amy and Bobby, what's going on? Hey, I was excited. So good to see you folks. And we got, we're on. I almost got it in the 15 minutes. I almost got it there. But, you know, the idea is that 15 minutes was the goal, but having a meal ready in 30 minutes, I mean, at these days, I'm hearing people are like waiting 30 minutes, or they're waiting like, 2 hours for their Uber delivery order. I'm like, oh my goodness, guys, I could have made like a 5-course meal at that point. Alright, so we got a couple of Ziplocs here. Now, this is what I was talking about yesterday, about making bad habits. I don't have the habit of putting stuff down on my stovetop. Just because this is clear, I don't want to be putting plastic or anything on it. Oh, Amy and Bobby, hi, hey. I have been pretty good. I will recognize that this winter has been so hard. It has been such a hard winter. We're in our last month of winter. I'm looking so forward to spring. And I am hoping for one of the best summers that we've seen in a long while. I am predicting a Woodstock summer coming up. And if no one else has a Woodstock planned, I will be the one to facilitate it. You know what I'm saying? Gonna go out and party. And then, it's kind of expected. I think a lot of people, some of the things we're talking about, I think a lot of people, recognize that you're supposed to slow down in the wintertime, not move as fast, buckle down, be happy, or just share your wealth with what you have with your friends, relatives, family. And that the spring and the summertime are when we get to go out, explore, and really have a great time. You're definitely going to be seeing more of me. I have now got it in my head that I am going to be one of the greats. I am going to go shoot for the moon. I have been actually putting my hat back in to different restaurants, and I have been instead of having them hire me as an employee, I've been asking them to contract me out. This way they don't have to actually have me on payroll. But I am going to be streaming. I have 2 streams a week planned out at this point, if not doing more streams. Just a little Parmesan on top there. You'll definitely be seeing more and more of me, though. This isn't my favorite. I usually like putting this in a mason jar, but this will be okay too. This could, crazy enough, if I really wanted to, I might use this since it's enough for a whole another meal. So we're gonna do the right practice and we're gonna date those 2. Something handy to have, Sharpies for this. And what are we working on? Is it the 9th? No, I can't do the 9th. It's the 11th. Woo! 3 days till Valentine's. I wanted to get in as many shows as I could. I have to go hit the road and do the Ubering stuff over the weekend, but I was hoping on getting as much, you know, don't suck for Valentine's. Watch my show and learn how to cook for your significant other. Trying to have some of that stuff. And then here I am, instead of talking about couples and stuff, here I am talking about the bachelor lifestyle. Now, what my rule is for this, you don't want to rinse your pots and your pans while they're too hot. My rule is when it's cool to the touch, go ahead and get it taken care of. But yes, you're going to be seeing a lot more of me. The show that I had yesterday was a fantastic show. I'm super proud of the show that we did yesterday. I'm really getting in my groove and just going to be banging these shows out of the park. And hopefully, yeah, I can't wait. We are really going to hit the ground running. It's just going to get better and better and better. We're going to build up that whole community. Oh yeah, that's I kind of got sidetracked on that. Yeah, I'm not joking around about being one of the greats at this point. I even put it, when I was putting in my resume, I was like, you have the opportunity to contract me. I'm surely going to be world renowned one day. That's the spot I'm going for. And it doesn't have to be like I'm the best master chef. I can be the greatest home chef for sure. I can bring it and teach the masses, teach as many people how to do this, because I want to see more people doing this, because you know what? If I can help more people cook at home, that's going to re-raise the bar at the restaurants. Because I gotta be honest, I think the bar is so low at restaurants. So often I get disappointed with what I get served, and it just seems to be like expected. You know, and I'm not trying to be that guy that makes like the cook's lives harder and stuff, and this is why I'm being super critical of management, because it's supposed, management out of all people are supposed to be the ones that know this, know what they're supposed to do. Alright, so we got a nice amount of butter here. Oh, come on, come on. Work with me here. So I'm going to be, my stream schedule, I have it set to where I want to be streaming on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Friday, 3:30 to 6:30 every week. I'm going to be doing a show 3 times a week. And I'm going to be gunning to, my goal is to be able to do a cooking and streaming 5 times a week. I want to get up to a 5 times a day, or 5 times a week cooking show. There we go. So yes, I want to show people how to cook from home, and then that will help everything, because at this point I've been super critical. I think that restaurants had a huge opportunity during the pandemic to reinvent the game. and they did nothing. And that just speaks to how lazy I think restaurant owners and general managers are. If they're the ones with the money, if they're the ones taking the risks, then that's why they get to keep all the money. And I want to see them actually innovating and taking the risks, and they did none of that. So here we are instead to flip the game. Amy and Bobby, thank you so much. I love all that support that you're throwing in. Ever since I came back, I was really hoping I'd be able to run into you guys again. I still remember how you guys saved my biscuits back in the day. You know, when I was first starting. I could have had a totally different show that day. Billows of smoke and everything. So good to see both of you again. Now I just need to garlic this up a little bit. So that gave the garlic flavor. And then I throw on a little oregano. Woo! Alright, and like I said, we are going to facilitate a clean kitchen by the end of this. So let's make good on that promise. Make sure that you always clean out your recycles. Don't be afraid about using metal cans if you think that you know that this is too hard on the environment. It's not. It's one of the easiest things to recycle actually, because you can, instead of having to pick this out by hand like plastic, you can actually use a magnet to pick this up. So it's really, really easy for people to recycle. One of the projects I'm not exactly sure how to start is that what I'm seeing more and more out in fast food restaurants is that they're running more and more with a skeleton crew, and I just don't think people understand the rights that people fought for. With the whole taking breaks, is that, you know, that I see too many people giving up their breaks just so that they don't sacrifice the man to the side of them. But we cannot go into that situation. It's already hard enough. The limits for breaks are already at the minimum for cook work. It's not like an office job where, you know, you're only working for a couple hours and then you get to like browse on Facebook for 2 hours. And then a good example is like watching a bartender go to an office job. A bartender will straight up ask, aren't we supposed to clean and wipe everything down before we go? And people at the office are like, what are you talking about? There's a guy that comes in when we close to do that for us. The restaurant workers are some of the hardest working people that I've ever seen, and I just want to give them the confidence that they can ask for more, especially if they have good habits. Because, man oh man, can you pick up some bad habits in the cooking industry? You can so easily become an alcoholic. You can so easily become a smoker. And if you're not those things in the restaurant industry, you're worth your weight in gold. Because your mood isn't dependent on your cigarette break. Your mood isn't dependent on whether or not you got the shakes from your alcoholism. There's so many bad habits that you can pick up, and that eventually will leak into your food. You know, I do believe that you can cook love into your food. I feel like that gets it a little extra something. I'm a real crazy guy. When I was doing laundry service for a little while, I kind of tested this theory, right? I was like, I wonder if I can iron love into the clothes, right? There was this one older gentleman, and he just was very kept himself very tight and very quiet and stuff. And so I gave extra attention to his clothes, put extra emotion. I know it sounds weird because it's not like I was singing love songs or anything, but I had good intentions, good thoughts as I was doing my job. And I do believe that I saw results, which is pretty funny to think about. I do believe I saw some results. Now this is still hot, but it's metal, so I'm just working quickly on that. All back in. So now we got a big old bowl of food, and oh yeah, we gotta show off that cool kitchen now, don't we? Oh, I guess I should remove the food from the sink then. Baby steps, baby steps. Okay. I got a little ahead of myself, but yeah, some of the projects I'm not sure about how to enter is that I really want to help specifically fast food workers, but then I don't know if the energy is even worth going into that, because maybe it'd be better for fast food as a whole to kind of fail. It does seem like it's fast food that draws an unnecessary drain on our meat supply, our onion supply, and things like this. Maybe we don't need that type of convenience in our life anymore. Maybe I shouldn't, put my effort into saving it. Maybe the best thing I can do is to go be the better example, get those restaurants opened up. Another kind of kooky idea that I have is that there's a few ideas that I have for restaurants. One of them being that I would have tables would be by reservation only, and then there would be counter space that you could sit at that would be for singles only. And that would not necessarily require a reservation. Another really kooky idea that I have is that I never turn anyone away from a meal. Meaning that anyone could come and eat. If you don't have the money, there's still something that we can cook up for you. It might not necessarily be on the menu, but I don't want to turn anyone away from my doors. I think that, a sign of strength is not how much you can take, but how much you can give. I think that's a true sign of strength. So definitely have some logistics about how I'm supposed to work that out. But these are the goals I have for restaurants, and it can't just be one. Another thing that I want to work on is with soup kitchens, or just kitchens that specifically feed the homeless population. I really want to work on taking the stigma. Thank you, Amy and Bobby. I want to remove the stigma from getting a free meal. That's why I wanted to do it in that previous restaurant, where people, you can get reservations here, but I'm not turning anyone away. In the soup kitchens, again, I would want it where it's just expected a free meal, or pay what you will. And I know a lot of people, it's pay what you will, then I won't pay anything. And a lot of people would tell me, you see how many people are taking advantage of you? And I turn around and I would say, well, who was taking advantage of them? Why do they need this, We have to, it's baby steps on how we fix the wrongs in the world, and you might never see that person, change. But it's not always your ride to see that person change through. You're just part along on the journey. Anyway, talking less about food now and more about philosophy. I guess I should really mom on that food a little bit. I'm kind of interested to see how this garlic bread turned out. A little crunchy. Oh yeah, we had to showcase that clean kitchen. So, you see the grill, all clean, right? Nothing in the sink either. That's right. And we'll just give this a sweep and call it a day. Something that I won't be bashful either is that something else that I'll go to is that I think that we'll see very it's again like one of those things like it's like the fast food places, should I put my force into this? And what I'm about to bring up is that I think people that I think the places that are in really good positions to be able to help people are actually the churches. The churches in our areas, and just with the way the taxes are set up, they're actually in a position to really help a lot of people. And I think that churches could evolve themselves, if they could really, practice their teachings and shelter the homeless and clothe them. I think would be in a much better place. Maybe more people would actually return to their religion. I think that there's a lot going on with religion right now. There's a lot of people exiting the churches and understanding religious traumas that have happened, but those things are very real and should be talked about. But I know that there's also a lot of people that truly just want to live a good life, and they want to live life in the right way, and they want to follow the Word of God. And that shouldn't be something to be ashamed about in this modern era. I know a lot of people have identified more as a spiritual, or being more spiritually in tune, and I think that that's because that there's no churches that are really stepping up into the leadership position. And I think one of the great ways for them to do that would to actually be making a difference in their communities again. I see churches I see too many churches now, they've gone, how they want to make differences in their community is by influencing the vote, which is very specifically something that churches, it's not allowed. It's illegal because of how they are tax exempt in the United States. Churches aren't supposed to be taking that type of political influence. It's much better. The churches need to remind themselves that they are supposed to be helping the communities next to them. And so I want to go into more churches and try to see what their soup kitchens are set up like, and to see where the stigmas are, and to help bring my knowledge and help destigmatize people's lifestyles. Everyone can get together around food. Everyone needs food to survive. Everyone has to eat. I think bringing everyone to the dinner table is how we're going to solve a lot of the world's problems. I thought about having buildings in downtown cities and having them more set up as temples where they don't have locked doors. We really do need a whole lot of guidance on how we're supposed to operate in this world. We still need places to where we can go talk to people. That's really what I hear. More and more people wish that they had a place where they could just go philosophize and talk about their ideas. And it's really funny because when I hear that, I ask, are you asking to go to church? It sounds like you're asking to go to church. Anywho. It's time to enjoy the meal. Got that wrapped up pretty quickly. Like I said, it was going to be a little bit of a slower show today. Just try to give a few of my thoughts, just some of the things moving forward, what we'll be looking at. I highly recommend, if you want to, if you're interested more in just like, specifically someone that would talk about religion and where it stands in today, one of the recommended streamers that I have down below is called Rosie Quartz, and they come from the House of Quartz. And this is, of course, not the perfect community, but it is a good community. It's a little bit of a younger community than me, but then again, that is why I say, like I was saying earlier, I have so much love and respect for the younger generation and the work that they're doing. They are going to be probably, I hope I get to see them come into power one day, because I think that we'll truly have a world worth living in when those folks, the people younger than me, come of age. Tastes great, folks. So, let's see, 3:30, about an hour and a half stream today. I think I did all I could today. I do need to go hit the road, take care of some deliveries, but the more and more support I can get on this show, the more and more I can keep on doing it. I'll be here 3 days a week. And we're going to be working on getting me 5 days a week on a show. I hope in the future, there's actually a competition. I'm going to have to see if they still have it. Ooh, wife made a salad for dinner. What type of salad? Is it a Caesar salad? We've got tomatoes in it. What type of salad do we got? Oh my goodness. More of that coffee would be great, actually. I really like salads. I think that they're super easy to put together, and they give you like that nice little bit of energy. I don't. Oh yeah, it's not filling, but it just burns so good in your body having salad stuff, and it's almost like a salad. I know a lot of people in America, they serve their salads first, and before the main meal. Salad is always something that I've always really liked having after the main dish, to be able to tidy up with a salad. What is my, let's see, what type of salad dressings do we got right now? see, we got 3. So I'm a big fan of raspberries. So it took me a little bit to start getting onto salads, but what changed my world, what rocked my life, was once I had a raspberry vinaigrette salad with apples and goat cheese, and I think it was pecans. I think it was pecans, apples, and goat cheese with some raspberry vinaigrette. One of my favorite dressings to have. Then this raspberry walnut was another brand. And then we have a Thousand Island here as well. And as far as salad mixes go, we have the 50-50 split. This I would use for more of that Thousand Island dressing. This spring mix that I have, pretty nice for the apples. Let's go ahead, since we do have time, let's go ahead and make a salad. We got a bit of time left. I want to go for at least another half an hour on the show. Ah, she made a raspberry vinaigrette salad. Ha 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 ha! That's great. Alright, so we had 1 or 2 apples that we needed. This guy starting to get a little soft here. Ooh, I can't forget that I had that coffee in there. So we'll give this a nice little rinse. I use about half an apple. We'll use cold water to get this rinsed off. One of the things I wanted to add in addition to the show is that I really need these 2 cameras angled. Where did I go? Oh, there I am. I really need these 2 camera angles, but I want to get a 3rd camera onto the sink. That way people can see how I am washing off the vegetables and such. But yeah, that raspberry vinaigrette salads are what changed my world. And then I would say after that, it was go. I could have any salad. For people that are new to the salad game, it takes a little bit for your body to get used to that. Sometimes you might see that it's not, that your body's having a hard time digesting it. Don't stop, just keep on eating those vegetables, you know? Just keep on eating that good stuff. These vegetables are a wonderful source of things like iron. Kale has more vitamin C than an orange. If I am saying that correctly, I think it's vitamin C. Alright, got this apple polished off. We'll get another bowl down here. Actually, you know what? Instead of a bowl, I'm going to have a nice big salad. Alright. So at this point, my hot surface light is off, so I'm okay with working on top of my grill again. I really should get another bite of this in, though. Okay. Whoop, whoop. Steak. Alright. And nothing really fancy. I don't core the apple on the first go around. And then usually what I do is that you can see the line that you can cut it, and I'll either do like two things. I'll either, because this is just how I do it at home. If I had to do it, if I had to present this in the kitchen, this is just for myself. If I had to do this for someone else, I'd make it look a little better. But I'll just go ahead and core it like that. Or I'll just take a straight line down it, and I'll remove that much of the apple. I'm not too worried about the little bit of waste that I'm getting here, because I'd rather cut it a little quickly than just never use my apples, because it takes so long to cut an apple and just to have them rot, then the whole apple is getting wasted at that point. Okay. We'll go ahead and move those to the plate here. And for each salad, I like using about half an apple. But you know what? I haven't had a whole lot of fruits. I'm actually coming out of a lot of the winter sicknesses and stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and cut up the whole apple. But just know that if you're trying to split this in between two people, that one apple, half an apple per person, good rule of thumb there. Alright, so we cut up our apple, we have our apple, and then this is what I love about these spring and salad mixes, is that it's just salads. Like, if you're hungry, make yourself a salad real quick. And then I'll use about 2 handfuls. Now I'm making a nice big salad. And then there's a couple. Now this hasn't been opened, so what you can do is that there's some things that just go bad quicker than others, and that will just, it has a bit more of a sour taste. So this, to avoid this happening, what's happening is that there's water that's sitting somewhere in between the layers of plants. So if you can open this up and you just give it a little bit of a shuffle like this, because there's some pieces of lettuce, some that are still drier than others. Usually I see that it's the purple leaves that go bad first, and this is because they are 2 different plants, so they probably got harvested at different times. But giving it a nice little shuffle will really help the longevity. And then composting is king. If you have a compost, all these extra pieces of fruit, your tea bags, all that sort of stuff can go into the compost. And if you don't, say you're in an apartment building, something I highly encourage people to pick up as a hobby is just supporting a community garden. And if supporting a community garden and then having a community compost, something that we really have to work on is that for our future is that we do have to work on our soil quality. We really need to be putting this, all the nutrients that all of this is nutrients that we have taken out of the soil. And it's going to, now we carry some of that in us, and then it goes into our, the sewage systems and stuff, so it's getting taken away from the earth that way. And then this stuff that we don't eat, it gets thrown into the trash, and it gets taken to the landfill. But we're not using that dirt in the landfills to grow crops. There's a lot of stuff that's actually making those landfills poisonous. So we're taking a bunch of nutrients from the earth and we're putting it in all the places that we're not growing our food. So having a compost can help build back up good soil. It's not going to solve everything. It's just going to not make instead of doing a decline, instead of doing a straight dive down, we're doing something more like this, and we can ride a wave, which is much more sustainable overall. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and give this a little bit of a toss here. Like I said, I got a nice big plate. And there's there's about just as much apples here as there is leafy greens. I'm going to do 2 more things. So this is where it gets a little labor intensive. I'm going to take some nuts. Now if you like, you can get these sliced already from the store, but I have them whole. We're going to get the right knife for the job here. We're just gonna cut them in half. My favorite to use is still walnuts, but these will work. And this gives a little bit of extra protein. Adding some walnuts, pecans. Pecans are a great one. Pecans. So I'm using this instead of croutons. We'll get that, let's use the rest of that. That raspberry walnut was looking pretty low. It's a vinaigrette, right? No artificial flavors. After opening, shake well. Now, sometimes it's hard to be able to tell, like, well, this has been in my fridge for a little while. How am I supposed to know if it's good or bad? Because I don't really see any mold in this, and also I'm going to need to be shaking it up. Now, before you shake it up, what we're going to do is, well, that was a little harder. There's this cap on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to peel back the label a bit. And what I'm looking for is that I'm looking at the tops here, because this is the perfect little incubation area. And I'm not looking for anything molding down here. I'm looking for anything that would be molding up here. And also, like on your pasta jars and stuff, it would come here on the lip of this. Now I don't see any signs of it anywhere. Now I'm also going to look at the top here. And I don't see anything up on the top. So I had to question it, but I know it's safe. The last thing that we can do is we can just give it a little smell. It smells vinaigrette, to be honest. I'm not positive. I don't like just throwing things out there, but I'm pretty sure vinaigrettes last quite a long time. All right. So I don't try to over drizzle. I try to do like 1 pass and then 2 pass. Boom. Look at that. Now this right here, let's see, that salad would sell you or cost you no less than $8 at a restaurant, this whole plate of pasta probably be like at least another $9 dish. So we're talking about at least $20 meal. So $5 tip, if not more, because you know industry folks just love tipping 100%. So all the time this meal would cost me like 40 bucks. The apple was what, $1. The salad that we used, that's probably 50 cents worth of salad. It's probably $2 worth of pasta and 30 cents worth of bread. Now, if I was a smart man, I would be able to add all that up real quick. It's like $6. It cost me $6 to make all of this. Let's just say. Because I say so. Alright, and then we're going to respect our knives here. That is pretty funny. Everyone likes a good raspberry salad. So you heard it in the chat, you heard it on the screen. You need to try a new salad? Raspberry vinaigrette. Winner chicken dinner. Alright folks, so now we got everything put away again. Even got a nice extra salad out in the mix. I'm going to have a nice little sit down and enjoy my meal off camera. But I guess I will give a little bite on camera. I know people like seeing me actually eat the food. The nut really adds something. And then this is a great time to add a little bit of cheese. We got some like specialty cheese. I really recommend a goat cheese, a nice goat cheese, a little goat crumble on it. Don't go too fancy on it, and don't buy a whole lot of goat cheese. Just buy a little ball of it, because especially as you're practicing making more salads, that's why I really encourage apples and nuts to be kind of the first things that you're making your salads with, and then have the goat cheese after you kind of get in a routine of the salad. Then you can start throwing in things like goat cheeses in there. But I love how that salad came out. Like the apple, like the apple and the nut, when you bite into it together, it like mixes the flavor together, and this is very nutty and raspberries, so fruits and nuts. It's great. This meal, fantastic. No sweat off our backs making it either. And the reason why I wanted to emphasize a pasta dish, I know it's really simple, but that's the reason, is that it is very simple, and there's a lot of people that can overcomplicate it. You know, they might take like 45 minutes to make their pasta sauce, and then they're letting their meat cook, and then they got like 7 pots and pans by the end of the process. So I really just wanted to show people that the first thing I wanted to show is that you don't need to have your water boiling to start. You can save time by adding your pasta right away to your water. The next thing I wanted to show is that you can cook your sauce, your meat, and your onion all in the same pan, and it wasn't a pot, it was actually just the skillet that we cooked that in. And by the time that was cooked, our pasta had boiled, so we're able to just throw those two together. Now I can put that timing together pretty easily, and maybe someone else that has cooking experience on a line, where that practice comes from, you have 7 tickets and you're trying to get them out within 10 to 15 minutes. And you're trying to get and you're doing it in blocks. You're able to cook maybe 6 or 7 orders at a time. This, you're just cooking 1 order, so it's very easy for me to be able to be like, okay, it all comes together like this, and then boom, and it's out. So when you're first starting, it's okay if it didn't come together as quickly as mine did. You might need to take a little bit more time, or do these things separately. Like you might need to get your pasta, you might need to cook up all your onions. I can cut the onions pretty quick, so you'll need to build up experience for that. But I also highly encourage that I understand that not everyone is able and not everyone can necessarily cut with a knife. So a food processor is a great investment to have. And what you'll do is, what we did is that we cut half an onion. We only, what's all this? Hey! We cut half an onion. We only used about a quarter onion for the recipe, and we put the rest away in the fridge so we can use it for later. The food processor, on yesterday's show with the mincing of the garlic, I was like, screw that. Just throw it in the food processor. You don't need to prove anything to nobody about how well you can mince something. If anything, you can just buy minced garlic. We have whole cloves of garlic, which are also really nice. It's really nice to have the whole cloves. I prefer having whole cloves. But a food processor is a really good investment. You don't necessarily need to build up the knife skills to be a good cook. What the knife skills are going to be able to give you is knife skills. You'll be able to walk into any kitchen and cook. Or you'll be able to go anywhere and you'll be able to cook up a meal. That's where the knife skills are getting you. But it's not necessarily about being able to cook anywhere. It's more about being able to cook for yourself. So if you don't have access to a food processor or something that for onions specifically, you can actually buy frozen cut onions, and it would work very much the same as we just did it here. Like when we took the frozen meat, you just take the frozen meat and the frozen onion at the same time and throw it in. And that's kind of my thoughts on that right there. Yes, just don't think that knife skills are the only thing that makes you a good cook. Your cleanliness, your caring about what you're putting in your body and other people's body is what makes you a good cook. Your good spirit, you wanting to not see people hungry, is what makes you a good cook. Taking care of your farmers, taking care of your land, that's what makes you a good cook. Alright folks, I really am going to sit down. Amy and Bobby, thank you so much for all the love. Ortheron, thank you for dropping down into the scene too. You saw me almost knock that food out in 15 minutes. We got massive amount of food for me to gorge myself. I hope to put a little bit of a belly on this guy. Yeah. They got 2 sayings about cooks. Now I'm going to reinvent all of them because I don't like either of these sayings. One of the sayings is that you can't trust a skinny cook because he doesn't know how to eat. Another one is that you can't trust a fat cook because he's already taken all the good bits. So I don't like either of those sayings, so we'll be working on some new ones in future episodes of the show for sure. Thank you all for your support in the thousands of shows that everyone could be watching. You guys have put your energy into me, and I feel it, and I feel loved. Thank you all so much for following me on this journey. Thank you all for giving me the opportunity to share my voice and my teachings. I greatly appreciate it. I can't wait to see you all next Wednesday for the next show. To be determined, but don't worry, I will constantly update things on the schedules, and I'm going to be going harder and harder on my online presence. You can check in the About Me section. We'll have plenty of stuff up and coming, maybe a website, maybe a Discord, all sorts of fun stuff in the future. We're really going to go hard on this cooking show. I'm really set out to make a difference, to have my voice be heard. And we're going to all do this together. Thank you so much. I'm going to wrap up the show for tonight. Thank you, Amy and Bobby. Alright folks, I'm going to put it to the final scene now as we close out. Thank you so much.